Hi, I'm just going to start the presentation now. Hi, I'm Michaela Schick, and this is my Module 1 presentation. A little bit about me. I live in Shawnee, Kansas. That's where I was born and raised, and I graduated from KU in 2016 with my bachelor's in elementary education. I'm 23, and this is my second year as a 5th grade teacher. My school is Emerson Elementary School. It's in Kansas City, Kansas. It's a school with about 210 students in grades K through 5. And it's a Title I or high poverty school with a pretty significant ESL population. And it's a really small and tight-knit community. We have a lot of students that live right here in the neighborhood, and so we know the families really well, and I really like that about working here. We're going to talk about how does technology impact learning. So why do we want to use technology when it comes to schools? So this is definitely one of the bigger focus points of 21st century education. It's the idea that we need to be preparing students to utilize this technology in through their adulthood, and that they're going to be needing to know how to use technology in almost any career that they could choose. And the skills kind of go beyond the idea of an 80s or 90s typing class. So we need students who are able to be creative and innovative and use a lot of different programs and use them in a professional way. So there are a lot of benefits to this. For one, students love it. Students have grown up with technology and they think of it as something fun. They can play games on their computer, they can play games on their tablet. It's something interesting to them. It also reaches students in a new way. Like I said, it interests them, and it allows for different students to be successful. So just because a student might be struggling in math, they might be really great at using computers or using tablets. So it allows everybody to have a chance to show how great they are in a different way. It also gets students to be more creative, which uses their higher order thinking skills because they have to show the information that they know in a new, different way. It also comes with its fair share of challenges, one of them being financial. It's really expensive to provide all this technology to different schools. So for schools and school districts, it's a very high cost, especially because technology goes out of date as soon as you buy it. A computer that was purchased 2 years ago does not have the same capabilities as a computer purchased yesterday. So districts have a really high turnover, and they're constantly having to replace the technology in schools. Additionally, a lot of teachers, especially veteran teachers, are uncomfortable using technology themselves, so they're uncomfortable using it in their classrooms with their students. The one that I think is the biggest challenge for me when it comes to technology is time. My students can do other projects that are less creative and less innovative more quickly than they can use a computer to do their project. And then finally, not every student is equally adept at using technology in the classroom. So how do I use technology? We're going to talk about 4 areas that kind of contribute to my use of technology in the classroom. So 21st century learning, being a part of the technology generation or being a millennial myself, previous courses that I've taken, and whether or not this is a focus for the school that I work in. So 21st century learning is something I definitely buy into this idea. It's important for us to prepare students to use technology in their lives because it's not going away. It's going to always be there, and it's always going to be changing for students as they grow. So they need to know how to use technology and how to prepare to use new technology in the future. If the idea of school is to prepare students for adulthood, then this is definitely an aspect that we need to be focusing on as educators because technology is part of our world. I have taken previous courses on technology and education during my undergraduate degree at KU. I didn't necessarily find this course to be superbly useful because we focused a lot on programs like iMovie and mixing different sounds to create different songs, which I didn't think were necessarily accessible to elementary age students. I would have much rather focused on, what apps can we use, what different programs can we use that are a little bit more user-friendly for our elementary age kiddos. Like I said, I am 23, so that definitely classifies me as a millennial. I have grown up using technology, so much to the point that I take it for granted. I grew up using technology even in elementary school. When I was a student, we had laptops in elementary school. So school without technology is a concept that's foreign to me because I grew up with it. Using technology is not necessarily my biggest skill as a teacher. I'm not the most tech-savvy millennial in the world, but it also doesn't scare me, and I'm not afraid to try to learn how to use new technology in my classroom. Finally, technology use is not necessarily the focus at my school. So we have a really good ratio of technology for our students. We have 1-to-1 iPads for the younger kids and Chromebooks, which are just laptops for the older kids. So I have as many Chromebooks as I have students. I have 21 Chromebooks and 21 students. But we have a larger focus on meeting basic learning targets, like is the student reading on grade level? Are they able to do basic math? Are we writing in a way that people can understand? Sometimes as a high poverty school, you get kind of trapped, you feel like, into focusing on the basics and you're ignoring the creative and innovation needs of your students. Additionally, this is a pretty veteran staff here. I'm kind of the odd man out as the youngest one. And so some of our staff aren't necessarily motivated to use technology because it's something new and something that they haven't really been exposed to before. So how am I doing with technology? After these 4 factors, I would say I give myself a B- for my technology use. I definitely use the Chromebooks in our classroom for various Google applications as well as research, and they take online reading quizzes on the computers, but I could definitely be more creative in the way that I use technology. I often avoid these projects, as I said, because of time and because of a lack of student ability. Worried that, oh, the student can't handle Prezi or the students can't handle whatever program that I would rather use for them. So here's my plan to improve. And there's going to be 4 aspects of this plan as well. So increase use, more creativity, technology as a subject, and finally we'll talk about funding. Step 1, increased use. As stated, I really don't feel like I use technology enough in my classroom. And ways that I could improve this would be to use it for reading responses. So instead of having kids write about their reading, they could type it up and type about their reading. I do a lot of poster projects in science and social studies. Students have to research something with a group and then create a poster to tell the rest of the class about it. And those could easily be transitioned into more computer presentations. We do some computer presentations, but we could definitely do more. I could use Google Classroom, the comment section, to check for understanding, kind of like an exit slip for that day of class. And finally, I could use a lot more reading and math game applications, and I know that my students would love to do more games on the computers or even borrow iPads from one of the younger teachers and use those. And I think that'd be something that would interest the students a lot. The second step in the plan would be to use more creativity in the projects that I select in utilizing technology. I need to give students more creative freedom and see what they can come up with and see what they can really do. I want to start using programs like Prezi or Illustrators or Movie Makers that would give students more chances to use their creative skills, which is something they always want to do. And I would, like I said, like to increase these kind of group projects that I do that involve research and group teamwork and everything to also incorporate more technology. The third thing is my school does not offer technology as like a special, like art or library or PE, whereas other elementary schools in our area do. So when our students go to middle school with students from their schools, I feel like our students are at a disadvantage because they haven't had the technology background that those students have had. So any extra time in my classroom could be spent kind of almost being a technology class, working on different skills relating to computers and iPads, like typing or creating presentations, learning how to use different apps, all kinds of different things like that that would help them and advance their skills, which in turn would make doing technology-based projects easier in the future because they've already built up some of those skills, and it wouldn't take quite as long or quite as much intensive effort to do. And then the final step is funding. So I don't see funding as a major challenge in my classroom right now when it comes to technology because we do already have a 1-to-1 ratio. We're really lucky in that aspect. So no major purchases are needed at this time for my classroom, just kind of maintaining what we already have. In the future, I hope that our district, KCK, will be willing to continue to invest in technology for the kids. But if at any time that stopped being possible, then it would definitely be a major funding challenge to use technology in the classroom. I would say the main cost for me as a teacher right now in terms of technology use is just time. It's instructional time lost that we could be working on reading or math or another subject that we are spending to learn about technology and do a more creative project, which isn't necessarily a negative, but it's a cost. So, all right, thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it.